Okay, welcome back. Last time in the last video we talked about noun modifier. We talked about the article the and an or a, and when to use them. And one is when the article is definite. We use the definite article when the noun is defined, or when we know which noun, when both the speaker and the listener, or when you're talking, when you and the person you're talking to knows which noun you're referencing, then it's a defined noun and you use the word the. If it's the first time that the noun is used and the listener doesn't really know which one you're talking about, then you would have to use the indefinite or undefined article, and that would be a or an. Okay, and I gave you some examples, and there's different ways to define a noun. And last time we learned that you can define the noun, define it first, and then it previously mentioned. Okay, so a previously mentioned noun in the conversation will allow you to use the word the. For example, I have to buy a map. I have to buy a map. First time I mentioned map. So if you're in the car and I'm talking, hey, I have to buy a map. And then once I buy the map, do you remember where I put the map? The map. Not emphasize, but the map. I have to buy a map. Do you remember where I put the map? Okay, and that's of course later on. This would be much later. I've already mentioned the word map. I expect the person I'm talking to in my car to remember that we bought a map. Okay, and then so when I ask, do you remember where I put the map? The person in my car is automatically going to know that I'm talking about the map I just bought. Okay, so that's a defined noun because it's already been mentioned in the conversation. All right. Now there's another way to identify nouns without previously mentioning them, and it's when we use modifiers. And we've talked about this briefly before, but you can use the word the when you can reasonably expect the person you're talking to know which noun you're talking about. And that can be done through previously mentioned, like we just discussed, or by modifying the noun so your speaker, or so that your listener, the person you're talking to, knows which one you're talking about. And they give several examples here. They give you some when it's not defined and when it is. Okay, so when do you use the word the? Well, not defined. Take a bus to 92nd Street. We don't know which bus. There's many buses that go there. Just a bus. Hey, take a bus to 92nd Street. That's undefined. It's never been mentioned before, number one, and I don't tell you which bus, so it's a bus. All right. However, if I want to use the word the and I want you to know which specific bus I'm talking about, then I would have to modify that noun and tell you which one. Take the first bus that comes to 92nd Street. Now I've given you enough information so that when I use the word the, you know I'm thinking about a specific bus. Which bus am I thinking about? I'm thinking about the first bus, and that comes to 92nd Street. All right? So it's defined now because I expect you to know which bus because I've already told you the first one. All right? So then that's when you use the word the. All right. So that's one example. So it has to be uniquely identified. Okay, and so let's take another look. Okay, here's another example. Do you have a pencil? Well, I want to know if you have a pencil, any pencil, just a pencil. Okay. However, if I use the word the is in here, do you have the pencil that Bob gave you? Okay, the pencil. Well, why did I use the pencil? Because I tell you which pencil that I'm thinking about and that you should know. Bob gave you. Okay, not any pencil, the one that Bob gave you. Okay, so that's the difference between a defined noun and an undefined noun, an indefinite article a definite article. A definite article, you expect the listener or the person you're talking to know exactly which noun you're talking about. And it can be by previous mention, or it can be by modifying that noun and describing that noun in such a way that you expect your listener or the person you're talking to know exactly which one you're talking about. All right? Choose a computer, for example, or sit at a computer. Okay. Sit at the computer in the corner. All right. Well, I said a computer because I don't tell you which computer. Here I said sit at the computer in the corner because I tell you which computer. Which computer? The one in the corner. All right. So I can use the word the because I expect you to be able to identify the one in the corner. All right. So those are just some examples. So that's modifying the noun so we know which one we're talking about. Now, it's not enough that you modify a noun. You have to know that that the person you're talking to is going to understand which one. So, for example, here's another. Here's a little further explanation. The speaker has a specific pencil or noun in mind, and the speaker can assume that the person he's talking to also has the same pencil in mind. Okay, so the speaker, or I'm sorry, the pencil that Bob gave you. All right, so we both have the same pencil in mind. Okay, that's not always. It's not always going to be clear. Here's the word. Here's a noun, the word present, and present is modified or described, but one, and you'll see here, it says, I bought her a present that will really surprise her. Well, I define the present. It will surprise her. So I've defined what the present, but she still doesn't know what present. She just knows that it'll surprise her. Okay, so I can't use the word a there or the there because she doesn't know which present, even though I've modified the word present. But down here it's defined. I bought her the present that we talked about. Well, obviously, I can use the word the here because I have a specific present in mind. You should too, because it's the one that we talked about. Okay, so one is defined, one is undefined. All right, so if you expect the listener or the person you're talking to know what the noun means, and you, the speaker, or you know what the noun means, I'm just going to put speaker. If the listener or speaker know what the noun is, which one you're referencing, you can use the word the. If one of the people doesn't know which noun you're talking about, you're going to have to use the word a, the indefinite article a. Okay, very simple. It's not that difficult. And it's not the end of the world if you misuse it. It's no big deal. Just practice and get better. But let's take a look at this and see what's expected here. It says exercise 3.3. It says in each blank space, use an indefinite article a or some if the noun is plural, is not defined, or the indefinite article the if the noun is defined by modifiers. Okay, so the word a, it's a little interesting. A or an always refers to one. Okay, if you have more than one, you have to use some. Okay, so and of course you use this before. Okay, so just understand that a and an always refers to one. So if you have more than one of something, it has to use the article some. This is a plural of a or an. All right, and then of course the can be used in the plural or the singular. The car, the cars. Okay, a car, some cars. All right, so that's pretty basic. But let's take a look here, and we'll do a couple together, and then I'm going to have you do the rest of them because there's quite a few of them here. I think there's like 20 of them for you to do. So we'll do the first page together and see how we do it. It says, did you hear cat that was making all that noise last night? Oh, well, did you hear the cat? How do I know it's the? Because it's the cat that was making all the noise, okay? So I know which cat you're talking about, so the cat. We need to buy some baseballs for the game tonight. Okay, I don't know which baseballs. I've never mentioned it before. We can't say we need to buy the baseballs for the game tonight. No, some. Okay, I'm not sure which ones you're talking about. Blank baseballs you got for the game are in Rob's car. Oh, I know exactly which ones you're talking about because of the ones in Rob's car. The ones that I got, that you got. So, the baseballs. Okay? Blank question about compound interest rates seemed really difficult, didn't it? Okay. Oh, the question. I know which question because it's the one about compound interest rates. All right? So I know exactly which question you're referring to. The one about compound interest rates. So I have to use the word the. Okay, so that's how you're going to do it. And then in this example up here, there is a cat on top of your car. Okay, you don't know which cat, you just know he's on top of the car. Okay, if you have questions, as always, come before school or after school, and I will help you out. I would prefer that you discuss, compare your answers with your classmates, and see what you have. Talk about, don't just change your answers if you have one wrong or not the same. Discuss it and try to talk about what makes it proper, who's right and who's wrong. It's no big deal. And we'll probably go through this in class as well so you can make corrections because I want you to do well on the test you have on this. And so you really have to understand when you use the word a or the. So as a quick review, we've done two things. We've learned to use the definite or indefinite article a, an, or some. It's the same thing. One is plural. This is plural. This one used with vowels, and this is singular. Okay, so singular and plural. The indefinite article, and when to use the definite article the. We've talked about this, and you use them if you've already talked about something, or if you've modified a noun so they know exactly which one you're talking about. You would use the word the. If it's new information or an unspecified noun, then you would use a or some. Okay? All right. So that's it, and then we're going to go on in the next video. Let's see what's coming up so you know where we're going. And let's see. The next one we're going to talk about nouns by unique reference. Okay, so that's we're going to understand what we mean by unique reference. So that's the next section. So good luck, and I'll see you in the next video.